The expectation around this rebuild is extremely high, and the pressure is growing every single day. Across the automotive world, people are watching closely as Mat Armstrong continues his attempt to rebuild a damaged Bugatti Chiron. Many people still do not believe this project can succeed. In fact, a large part of the audience thinks it is simply impossible. This is not just any car. The Chiron is one of the most expensive and complex hypercars ever made, with a price tag of around $6 million when new. It is built with highly specialized parts, advanced engineering, and strict manufacturing control from Bugatti. Normally, even small repairs on such a car require official technicians and factory tools. But in this case, Mat is trying to rebuild one without direct help from the manufacturer. Recently, he posted a video where he directly addressed both his supporters and his doubters. In that message, he made something very clear. He understands how difficult this challenge is. He knows people think it cannot be done. But despite all that, he still wants to try. This mindset is what defines the entire project. He is not claiming that success is guaranteed. He is not making unrealistic promises. Instead, he is being honest about the situation while still choosing to move forward. This balance between realism and determination is what makes his story interesting. It shows that this is not just about fixing a car. It is about taking on a challenge that most people would never even attempt. As the rebuild continues, the scale of the challenge becomes more obvious. The car has suffered serious damage. It is not just cosmetic. The structure itself has been affected. Parts of the chassis, including the carbon fiber monocoque, may have hidden damage that is difficult to detect and even harder to repair. The gearbox housing is cracked, which is a major issue because the transmission system in a Chiron is extremely complex. There are also multiple radiators that have been damaged, and these are critical for keeping the engine and other systems cool. Without proper cooling, the car simply cannot function. On top of that, Bugatti does not sell parts freely to independent builders. This creates a huge problem. Every time Mat removes a damaged part, he faces the question of how to replace it. In many cases, there is no simple answer. Some parts are so specialized that they cannot be easily recreated or repaired. This is why many experts believe the project might fail. They are not just being negative. They are looking at the technical reality. Even accessing certain components requires complex procedures. For example, working on the gearbox may require splitting the car in half, which is something only a few facilities in the world are officially equipped to do. Despite all these challenges, Mat continues to move forward step by step. He is not rushing. He is carefully analyzing each problem and looking for solutions. This slow and steady approach is important because one wrong move could make things even worse. It shows that this rebuild is not just about effort. It also requires patience, skill, and smart decision-making. One of the most interesting parts of this story is how Mat responds to doubt. Instead of arguing with critics or trying to prove them wrong with words, he accepts their concerns. He understands that their doubts are based on real challenges. But at the same time, he chooses not to let those doubts stop him. In his video, he made a comparison that perfectly explains his mindset. He talked about Leicester City and their historic win in the Premier League. At the start of that season, the odds of Leicester winning were extremely low. Almost nobody believed it could happen. They were competing against much bigger and richer clubs like Manchester United, Chelsea, and Manchester City. These teams had more money, better players, and more experience. On paper, Leicester had no chance. But they still won. This example is powerful because it shows that impossible does not always mean impossible. Sometimes, with the right mindset, effort, and teamwork, unexpected things can happen. Mat is applying the same idea to his rebuild. He is not saying that he will definitely succeed. He is simply saying that he is willing to try. This attitude makes people respect him, even if they are not sure about the outcome. It turns the project into something bigger than just a mechanical task. It becomes a story about belief, effort, and taking risks. Another important factor in this rebuild is the role of the community. Unlike traditional repair projects, this one is happening in public. Millions of people are watching every step through YouTube. This creates both pressure and opportunity. On one hand, every mistake is visible. If something goes wrong, everyone will see it. On the other hand, this visibility attracts help. People from around the world are reaching out with advice, information, and connections. Some of them have experience working on high-end cars. Others may have access to rare parts or specialized tools. This creates a kind of global support network. Instead of relying only on official channels, Mat is using the power of the community. This is a very modern approach. It shows how the internet can change the way complex problems are solved. In the past, a project like this might have been impossible without manufacturer support. But now, knowledge and resources can come from many different places. This does not remove all the challenges, but it does create new possibilities. It also adds a human element to the story. Viewers do not just watch. They feel involved. They want to see the project succeed. This emotional connection is a big part of why the series is so engaging. It turns a technical rebuild into a shared experience. Even with all this support, the risks remain very real. There are several ways this project could fail. Some parts may simply be impossible to replace. The structural damage might be too severe to fix safely. The electronic systems could develop problems that are difficult to diagnose and repair. Modern hypercars rely heavily on advanced electronics, with many systems connected and dependent on each other. A single fault can cause multiple issues across the car. Even if Mat manages to fix the mechanical problems, there is still the question of safety. Without official parts and procedures, it is hard to guarantee that the car will meet the original standards set by Bugatti. This could affect not only performance but also reliability and safety. There is also the issue of value. A rebuilt car like this may not be worth as much as a factory original one. For some people, this might make the project less practical. But for Mat, the goal is not just financial. It is about proving what is possible. However, if the project fails, it will not happen quietly. It will happen in front of a global audience. This adds another layer of pressure. His reputation is on the line. Critics will feel validated, and the manufacturer's position will be strengthened. This is what makes the situation so intense. It is not just about success or failure. It is about what that outcome represents. In the end, this rebuild is about more than just one car. It raises bigger questions about ownership, control, and the future of repairs. If Mat succeeds, it could challenge the idea that only manufacturers can fix their own products. It could support the growing right to repair movement, which argues that owners should have the freedom to repair their own devices and vehicles. A successful rebuild of a hypercar like the Chiron would send a powerful message. It would show that skill, creativity, and determination can compete with corporate control. On the other hand, if the project fails, it will reinforce the current system. It will suggest that some things are simply too complex to handle outside official channels. Either way, the outcome will have an impact. For now, Mat's position is clear. He is not focused on guarantees. He is focused on the attempt. He is willing to take the risk and see where it leads. This mindset is what keeps people watching. It creates suspense and curiosity. No one knows how the story will end, and that is what makes it so compelling. Whether it succeeds or fails, this rebuild has already become one of the most talked about projects in the automotive world. As the rebuild moves deeper into its most difficult stages, the reality of the situation becomes even more intense. What started as an ambitious project is now turning into a true test of limits for Mat Armstrong and his team. At this point, the easy parts are long gone. The visible damage has already been addressed, and now the focus is shifting to hidden problems that are far more dangerous. With a car like the Bugatti Chiron, the real concerns are often beneath the surface. The carbon fiber structure, for example, may look fine from the outside, but even small internal cracks can affect the strength of the entire vehicle. This is not something that can be fixed with basic tools. It requires deep knowledge, precision work, and in many cases, expensive equipment that is usually only available to the manufacturer. This is where the challenge becomes truly serious. Mat is no longer just replacing parts. He is dealing with engineering-level problems that could determine whether the car is safe to drive at all. Every decision matters. Every repair has consequences. If something is done incorrectly, it could create bigger issues later on. This level of pressure is not something most builders experience. But instead of stepping back, Mat continues to push forward. His willingness to face these risks is part of what keeps people interested. It shows that this is not just a content project. It is a real challenge with real stakes, and that makes every step of the journey more meaningful. At the same time, the technical side of the rebuild is becoming more complex with each passing day. Modern hypercars are not just mechanical machines. They are highly advanced systems filled with electronics, sensors, and software. The Bugatti Chiron is one of the most advanced examples of this. It has multiple control units that communicate with each other constantly. These systems manage everything from engine performance to stability control. If one part of the system fails, it can affect the entire car. This creates a chain reaction of problems that can be very difficult to track and fix. For Mat, this means that solving one issue does not guarantee progress. It might simply reveal another hidden problem. On top of that, without official support from Bugatti, diagnosing these issues becomes even harder. The company has its own tools, software, and data that are not available to independent builders. This gives them a major advantage. Mat has to rely on his own knowledge, as well as the help of others who may have experience with similar systems. This is where creativity becomes essential. He may need to find alternative ways to test components, repair damaged systems, or even create custom solutions. This kind of work requires not just skill, but also patience and persistence. It is a slow process, and progress can sometimes feel very limited. But each small success brings the project one step closer to its goal. Another key part of this story is the growing tension between independent builders and manufacturers. The situation with Bugatti highlights a larger issue in the automotive world. Many high-end companies prefer to keep full control over repairs and parts. They argue that this is necessary for safety and quality. While this may be true to some extent, it also limits what owners can do with their own vehicles. In this case, Mat is challenging that system by attempting a rebuild without official support. This has turned the project into something much bigger than expected. It is no longer just about fixing a damaged car. It is about testing the limits of independence in a highly controlled industry. If Mat can succeed, it could encourage others to try similar projects. It could also push manufacturers to reconsider their policies. However, this kind of change does not come easily. Companies like Bugatti have built their reputation on precision and control. They are unlikely to change their approach based on one project alone. Still, the attention this rebuild is getting means that the conversation is already starting. People are beginning to question what is possible and what should be allowed. This makes the project important, not just for car enthusiasts, but for anyone interested in innovation and ownership. As the audience continues to grow, the emotional side of the journey is becoming more noticeable. Viewers are not just watching for technical updates. They're following the story of a person taking on a massive challenge. Mat Armstrong is not a large corporation with unlimited resources. He is an individual with a team trying to do something that many believe cannot be done. This creates a strong connection with the audience. People like to see underdogs succeed. They enjoy stories where determination and effort overcome obstacles. At the same time, there is also a sense of tension. Because everything is happening in public, there is no way to hide mistakes. If something goes wrong, it becomes part of the story. This makes the journey more real and more engaging. It also increases the pressure on Mat and his team. They are not just working on a car. They are performing in front of millions of viewers. Every decision is being watched, analyzed, and discussed. This level of attention can be both motivating and stressful. It pushes them to do their best, but it also means that failure is always visible. Despite this, Mat continues to share updates and stay transparent about the process. This honesty is one of the reasons why people trust him and continue to support the project. Looking ahead, the final stages of the rebuild will likely be the most critical. This is where all the previous work comes together. The car will need to be reassembled, tested, and adjusted to ensure that everything functions correctly. This is not a simple process. Each system must be carefully checked. The engine, transmission, suspension, and electronics all need to work together perfectly. Any small issue could prevent the car from running properly. Even if the car starts, that does not mean the project is complete. It will need to be tested under real conditions to confirm that it is safe and reliable. This is where the true result of the rebuild will be seen. If everything works as intended, it will be a major achievement. It will show that independent builders can handle even the most complex challenges. But if problems appear, it could lead to further delays or even failure. This uncertainty is what keeps the audience interested. No one knows exactly how things will turn out. Every update brings new information and new questions. This ongoing suspense is a key part of the story. It turns the rebuild into a series of moments, each one building on the last, and the end. This project represents a turning point in how people think about cars and repairs. The attempt to rebuild a Bugatti Chiron outside of official channels is something that would have seemed impossible in the past. Now, it is happening in front of a global audience. Whether it succeeds or fails, it is already changing perceptions. It shows that with enough determination, knowledge, and support, even the most difficult challenges can be approached. At the same time, it also highlights the limits of what can be done without manufacturer involvement. This balance between possibility and limitation is what makes the story so interesting. Mat Armstrong has made it clear that he is willing to take the risk. He is not afraid of failure, and he understands the stakes. This mindset is what drives the project forward. It is not just about reaching the finish line. It is about the journey, the effort, and the lessons learned along the way. For viewers, this creates a powerful experience. They are not just watching a rebuild. They are watching a challenge unfold in real time, with all the uncertainty and excitement that comes with IT.